video here. We are currently in the midst of a pandemic. The coronavirus is among us and we are all quarantined in our homes, hanging out in our houses, and what better time than now to show you some video content. I've got some curiosities to show you. I'm gonna start here showing off my little curiosity cabinet. So on the bottom here, let's focus. Got some shells. Not much more to that, but they're pretty shells. Kinda like them. Over here we have some definite weird stuff. So there's a tiny little mini teapot here made out of metal. Not sure exactly what this was for or where it came from. Probably a dollhouse, but it's super cute. And then a really strange long fork. It's got some very like, I don't know exactly what you would call that, but little like, almost like lotus carvings there. Oh, can't really see. Ooh, there we go. Anyway, here's something interesting. Rectal metacone. This was found at a thrift store or a flea market, and you'll notice here that it contains benzocaine for numbing. Very useful there. And then you'll see here, this is just a little container of eyelets for sewing, but it's called Solid Head, and it has this super horrendous racist little picture on it. Super racist. This should never have happened. This is just awful, but it's so absurd that I kind of love it. Moving on up here, we've got a bunch of crystals and things like that. We've got in the back here, we've got a couple of fossils. This here was a sand dollar that was fossilized and petrified and probably polished up. Oh, that was Boo. Hello. Here's a curiosity too. He's very curious. We have another shell fossil back here. And here we have a little vial, little miniature vial of turquoise pebbles. This I got from cleaning a friendly old lady's house, and there was a bunch of stuff she didn't want anymore, and this was one of them. This very bright yellow crystally rock here, this is a sulfur crystal. That's why it's bright yellow like that. It's not dyed. It's actually made with sulfur, crystallized sulfur. I got this when I was a little kid, and I'm not exactly sure where, but it was probably in South Dakota, I imagine. So, yeah, pretty cool. Back here is a Native American arrowhead. I do believe it to be authentic. I'm not exactly sure, but I believe I also got that when I was a kid, so probably in South Dakota. Then over here we have some pyrite. This is fool's gold, otherwise known as fool's gold. Very sparkly, but it's not real gold. I guess that fooled a bunch of miners back in the day into thinking they had struck gold and struck it rich, but they did not. This one here is just a little pointed little pointed piece of amethyst, purple amethyst. And then this here is a crystal. I think it's a quartz crystal or a certain type of quartz. I'm not sure exactly anymore what the specific type was called, but I got that in Arkansas, and I guess that was a common crystal to mined in the area. Over here we've got a couple of jawbones. Very small little jawbones with all their beautiful little teeth still in there. Anyone know what kind of jaws, what kind of animals this would come from? Pretty sure they're both raccoons. There's another one, even smaller one up here. Nice little jawbone with all its little teeth in there. You see its canines up there for eating meat. Over here we have, to focus. And then we can see there are some more skulls. There we go. These little pine cones here, tiny little pine cones, these are actually as tiny as they look now. These are for great redwood trees. I got these in California. And then this little vial, I'll show you this. It's a tiny little vial with a little thing in there. It says, "So it shall be." This was given to me by a woman dressed as a bee, and she was handing out honey cookies, and she was part of an art exhibit, a live art installation that I went to for Halloween one year, last year. These feathers up here were from my chickens. Meow, meow, meow. My chickens, unfortunately, which got eaten by a fox. They were good chickens. They gave me eggs. These are their feathers. This photograph up here was taken by my friend Grego, who I used to go exploring with back in DeKalb. And we would go take photos of beautiful abandoned houses. This is some nice chipping paint from one of those houses. Hello! Look who we have here! He's very curious. He's very curious about these things. Okay, bye. A little pot. A little pot. Don't know about this. Some little jars. Very good. Up here we have a vial which may or may not contain real blood. We will never know exactly what it contains. This, I believe, is either a squirrel or a rabbit. I think it's a squirrel. Little squirrel skull. And this little bottle here, this is actually quite interesting. This is another one of these absurd things that should not have happened, but they did, unfortunately, because people were not as knowledgeable back in history as we are now, because we've learned. But back then, they thought that selling honey and tar would be a good idea for curing sore throats. So this was actually manufactured for a long time right in Chicago. I looked up the information on this factory, Foley's Honey and Tar. So honey and tar, probably not really a good idea for treating sore throats, but they thought it was okay at the time. Now over here we have some similar things. We have some little vials of pills, old-fashioned homeopathic pills. I found these at a flea market. And these are pretty interesting here. The first one on this side here with this beautiful label. This is labeled Ignatia, and this was sold as a remedy for depression and grief. Apparently it made you feel a little bit happier. But this one I think was safe. It was made out of a bean, so just a natural homeopathic remedy. This one on the far end, on the far right here, with the red label, this is labeled Mercurius Vivus. And this one, probably not so safe. This was used as a, I believe it was a cold remedy or something like that. But it was made from mercury, this one here. And so they thought it was good at the time, but as we now know, mercury is super poisonous. It causes brain damage. So you might not want to take that. The one Next to that one here, this one is labeled chamomile, and it's just chamomile, totally safe there. That's from a plant, and that's just like drinking chamomile tea. It'll calm you down. This other white one here is unlabeled, so I'm not sure what it is, but actually it might be opium, because they sold little opium pills that look like this back in the day. So who knows on that one. A couple extra goodies we have here are the U-Paul butterfly, a beautiful green butterfly here. We have some gorgeous red rocks that I picked up off the ground in Sedona, Arizona. Notice the layering here, really cool. And here we have someone's teeth. These are some dentures that I found in an abandoned house. Next up here, I'd love to show off my skull collection. Here it is. Do you think you can identify any of these animals? Start with the largest one here. This one's a cow. Nice cow skull here. We've got a deer. Notice the antlers right here. And this one up here, this is an emu. Little bird beak there. We've got a nice goat or a ram. This one's a goat, probably. Little cute little goat. Some smaller skulls here. This one is a monkey. Notice it kind of looks like a human or like a baby. Look at the size here. It's about the size of my fist. We have a little buck here, small one. What do you think this one is? I love this one. It's a little cat skull. Here we have, I think this one is a wolf. We've got a deer. Some other stuff. This one's a lamb right here. This one's one of my favorites because I cleaned it myself working at the butcher shop. Someone ordered a lamb, and that's where the skull came from. We have a little raccoon here. Another monkey, and we've got a chicken. Bop, bop. This guy here is a bobcat skull. Noticed it's stained beautifully brown, but its teeth are still very white. Rawr. This Sean got me at a oddities market. Couple more things here. We have a sea urchin shell. This is really neat, just the texture on this. And here we have a piece of gypsum or selenite, or otherwise known as a desert rose. It's a little crystal formed in the sand in the desert. Last but not least, I'd love to show you Frederick here. He's in a glass dome. But as you can see, this is a real human skull. I'm going to focus in a little bit. You can see he's missing almost all of his teeth. He's a friendly, smiley old guy. Helps me with my artwork. And Frederick and I would like to thank you for taking the time out to check out my Curiosities. Something fun to do while you're trapped inside your house. Thank you very much.